I will take you on a short but sweet tour of what we've got going on in the ground in the beds right now, which is not a lot because my last frost date is still one entire month away. I am very excited to be out here today. Unlike my last seed starting video, oh my gosh, I fell in a hole. Unlike my last seed starting video, I am not sick, so I can now fully embrace and enjoy getting into the greenhouse, getting my hands dirty, starting some seeds. In our first garden bed here, as you will see, I've just cleared the mulch to the side, added some new compost, and planted 4 rows of beets. Our first variety is Cylindra, then Bull's Blood, then Chioggia, and Boro. Very excited for these guys. None of them have come up yet. As you can see, I am sowing outside this year significantly earlier than I have in previous years. Basically, I just want to see what comes up, how long it takes to germinate outside. It has been a frightfully cold spring, so it's not surprising to me that none of these are up. Triangular cleared space here. Again, I cleared the mulch aside, put down some fresh compost, and planted a rainbow variety of carrots right along the center. On the outsides, there are lettuces as well as red kale planted. Again, nothing has come up. On these trellises this year, I will be growing a variety of things: beans, peas, some tomatoes, a few vining nasturtiums. We'll see how it goes, but all of the plants I am planting around the base of this garden bed remain quite low and pair up really well with those plants. So keeping my companion planting in mind, I am excited that I got some roots in the ground. Same thing for this bed, really. I've got the trellises up against the greenhouse, so what I'm planting on the bed itself are going to be just lower crops. We've got rutabagas right along the front. Their foliage can get quite large, but also it breaks off as it continues to grow, and obviously it is a root crop and you're growing it for the root, so it's easy to kind of stay on top of the foliage, and enough light gets through that I'm confident that I can put a row of leeks or scallions behind and then be able to grow on these trellises successfully as well. I have talked about in many videos our mass amount of lilies, and we still have a mass amount of lilies. I have been taking them to friends, putting them on the side of the road, planting them randomly throughout our fenced 2 acres that we have immediately around the house, but we still have copious amounts of lilies. They're all potted. We cleared out the bed. It's been a success. Just need to find them some new homes. Having an excess of a perennial that is successful is just something that happens and is a good issue to have. I'm not complaining about the copious amounts of free lilies that I have. In some pots here, we've got some chives overwintered. This is horseradish. Ooh, where is it? There we go. This guy's horseradish. More lilies. Horseradish, we need to get into a new pot, amend the soil, do some things to take care of it. It's just barely hanging on, but don't want to put it in the raised beds because it is extremely difficult to get rid of. We've got more chives. We've got oregano. Over here, we've got, what's it called? I can never remember. There's thyme as well as like the really long Mediterranean spindly one. I'll put the name on the screen. My bad. And I wanted to take you guys up here to update you on our blueberries. You guys saw in a couple of videos ago now that I planted out some blueberries. They've survived. They did get very chilly, so foliage is a little redder, but you've got a lot of new growth. Soaking up some good water. These are the Chippewa variety with the foliage. Back here, the Northland, they had these smaller root bulb, but I can see some little knobs pointing out. The stalks are still alive and well, and I'm finally starting to see some green show up and some little buds emerge. So the blueberries have transplanted all right, and they look to be doing well. Got Old Faithful valerian root coming up nice and strong. It always starts off so purple, and this plant is actually bright green, so I do find that kind of interesting. But yes, its foliage is coming in nicely. I've got 2. This year I will be harvesting off of these plants. It's their 2nd year here and they've been growing very well. So I'll be able to harvest their root, dry it up for some tea. Very excited for that. We've got catnip coming back and bergamot coming back as well. Hello, mother! Happy Beltane!
Yay, come dance in the forest.
What are you doing? Yeah, we've had a lot of trees kind of just grow out this winter and start losing their tops or falling over completely. But it's actually kind of a good thing in the food forest. We needed to get in here and start clearing some things up, so. Look at all of these rose hips, hey?
I know it's going to be beautiful. It's beautiful. A couple, like there's 6 or 8 plants in here that are so well established. Like look at the base here. See those new shoots coming up? See that's a 1-inch stalk at the bottom of that old.
Yeah, so this, which looks like a tree, is a rose bush.
Oh, yeah.
And these mountain roses, they usually are like 1/3 of this size.
Yeah, this is a different variety because these buds will be like a good like couple centimeters big when they're fully.
And this is all roses here as well.
Yeah, around here.
Like I was saying, we're happy that some of the trees have fallen down because it gets a little bit more light in here. So then things like the rose bushes can then continue to grow. The forest knows how to thin itself out. It works very well, almost like nature knows some stuff. I find it very hard to give you guys a lay of the land in our vlogs because everything is spread out. It doesn't really translate well on film, but my cottage that we're working on building is right here, and just across this little path is the food forest. So this has so many just native plants that are edible, medicinal, and is an abundant area of our property, which is why we just help it along. We just help to cultivate, prune it out, clean it up a little bit. We have not actually planted any plants in here, but I believe there was some crazy number, like 10 amount of native plants that grow just in this one area of our property that are either edible, medicinal, both, or some combination of extremely useful. There are ferns, so fiddleheads, there are mushrooms that grow, there are rose bushes, so rose petals and rose hips, as well as elderberries. There's wild raspberries, salmon berries, I believe hazelnuts or a variety of wild hazelnut or walnut, I'm not sure. There's a nut tree in there that we can eat. So many good things just naturally growing. And this year we put in our asparagus bed outside of the forest, but close to the forest. So let's go take a look. It might be hard to tell, but there are salmon berries as well as copious amounts of nettle starting to poke through. Nettle is a wonder plant, and we have been doing so much research on what nettle has to offer, more than we are already aware of. There's a lot. Nettle does a lot. But this here at the back of our food forest is the asparagus bed that Mom has spent last week putting in. This is obviously the finished product with the asparagus planted in there. I'm going to cut in some footage now of her setting it up, how she did the no-dig process, a few of her little insights that she had along the way.
And so it begins. The lovely food forest, just planting in some natural perennials. The asparagus crowns came from a local grower, so hopefully they'll be here for generations, good 15 to 20 years, so my great grandkids could be eating this asparagus. So I must tend to it. I've kind of put in the sides metal things just to keep surface weeds from crawling in. I did do the sort of no dig method. I dug down a bit, laid out some cardboard, wetted the cardboard, laid down the crowns, about 8 inches apart, 6 to 8 inches. That's all that several growers suggested. So, and yeah, it's really well drained. Awesome soil right here, so those roots are going to be digging deep fast. And threw in some phosphorus that came also from the growers. I thought that was really nice, just to give them a little boost in case they needed that, especially Here we're still dipping down close to 0 and quite frosty in the morning, so that's why I put on this just a temporary layer of straw to help keep them tucked in and be a little bit more cozy. Yeah, while cleaning up the forest around it, there's just tons of these little shoots coming up. This was just virgin land last year. There was a lot of clearing that was done here, and old fence came out. Yes, I look forward to zipping through the food forest, propagating some of these lovely elderberries that are here. Got to get on it ASAP. Look at those buds. This cane is probably a good inch in diameter. You can tell it's an elderberry because its buds are coming out parallel across from each other, such as this. And yeah, apparently they propagate real quick, and they don't need to grow this tall, which is like, 10 feet here now. Yeah, so we're gonna harvest some of that. And then I do see birds coming in and out of this tree here. I'm so grateful I kept those snags up last year. The spring birds are here, and they just sound glorious. Look forward to getting through this thicket, claiming the land, putting in a lot of pots, I think, this year. And the big idea of maybe doing some mycelium, some mushrooms. Lion's mane, other just herbal type mushrooms. And we'll see how that works. It's kind of moist in there, and it's got a good canopy cover, and it fills in quite well. But definitely full sun here for this little asparagus bed. And good access from the road, can bring in stuff. We'll just see how she goes.
Very interesting stuff, very exciting to have asparagus here on the property finally. I already have dirt on my face. Obviously, when it comes to perennials, you want to get them in the ground wherever you're farming, homesteading, living, as soon as possible so you can start harvesting off of those plants. That being said, we've been here for 20 years and we just put the asparagus bed in, so don't be too hard on yourself. If you didn't do it yesterday, the best time to do it is today. I've now been out on the property for 3 years, and if I planted my blueberry bushes when I moved out here, like I had talked about, I would be able to have a large blueberry harvest this year. So I know 3 years, at least for me, can sound like a lot when I'm planning or I'm planting things out, but time really does fly. There is no time like the present. Get your perennials in the ground. I do not have a before photo for you of this area, but Mom has been working very hard over the last few weeks just to slowly start tidying up a lot of the dead brush that the trees have shed over winter. Where Ripley is now has been cleared, and it used to look like this. So it's the slow process of beating back a forest. Hey Mom, what are these pokey ones? Ripley found them.
That looks like it could be either it's a lily or a grand moulin. Watch out, Bubba. I think it's a grand Solomon. It could be a lily
Ripley.
too. This is where I need tomato cages just to help.
A grand Solomon?
It might be a big lily.
A really big lily.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And this dark purple here, this is the nettle.
That's nettle. Yeah, and I see it coming up everywhere from dark purple to in this area.
Yeah, it is significantly darker in this area than other areas of the property that I've seen
Over
it.
there where it's more sun, it's green, so maybe that's a factor. I don't know. So what I do know is I do this.
So this is what we mean by trimming back and just creating spaces in the forest. We didn't plant these guys, but to protect them from us, Ripley, lawnmowers, trees. So down in the valley, these guys have been flowering for about 3 weeks, and it just started to bloom up here maybe 4 days ago. So it really shows the delay in seasons that being up in the mountains causes for us. So we're usually around 2 to 4 weeks behind everybody else in the valley. That's what 2,200 feet does. But it is always a freaking exciting moment when this bright yellow guy starts to bloom, because it officially starts to feel very spring-like. What's the type of nut that's in this?
This is a beaked hazelnut.
Hazelnut. So I think I said hazelnut.
Yeah.
I was trying to give them a few of the varieties that are just here without us doing anything.
Oh, yeah, no, these are beaked hazelnuts. They're a rather small nut. They come in a cluster of 3.
Yes.
I heard a story that the natives would just follow the squirrels to their caves or to their hiding spots and take half their nuts.
Oh, so that the squirrels store them and it dries and kind of solidifies.
Well, the squirrels would harvest them and nut them and shell them. Which
they did all the work.
All the work. And so they would just harvest, the people would harvest the nuts from the squirrels' dens, not taking all of them because they didn't want to leave them short for the winter, but kept them harvesting the natural nuts longer.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I have also heard that before, I think.
I'm going to see if I can find where they, because you've seen them. You've seen little stumps with a whole bunch of nuts on top.
Yes. Classic.
That's those.
Yes.
I could probably find it right here too, even.
Very cool.
I'd love to, because I did harvest some last year and it was tedious. But remember, you ate all the nuts. They were good.
Those were those?
Those were those.
Those were very good.
Because I just let them dry for a couple of years. Because the green hull on it is pokey and it can sting your fingers.
Mm.
That's why they would steal them from the squirrels.
Right. Very clever.
They were.
I'm gonna go into the greenhouse probably for 4 hours and plant all of those.
I'm going to start trimming.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Hey, may the forest be with you.
I'll see you around probably snack time. Ripley's just gonna keep watch, right? You're on surveillance?
Both sides.
The birds?